2013, and my daughter and I were headed to buy her a pair of much-needed tennis shoes. As we were heading to the store, she said, "Mom, pull over, there's a man laying on the sidewalk." So I pulled into the Valero gas station, and sure enough, there was a man laying on the sidewalk. As I got out of the car, I saw a gentleman standing next to his car, and I asked him, had anyone stopped to help the gentleman or call EMS, and he said yes, the gentleman was fine, that he had a little bit too much to drink. And so I still went to check on the gentleman. I called EMS, and before I left, I started talking to the gentleman who was outside of his car, and he had shared with me that the gentleman that was laying on the ground was homeless, but that he was as well. Over a year's time, we got to know Ralph, and Ralph had shared his story with us that he was in a messy divorce. He had lived in Indiana. He brought his life savings with him, and he had hoped to get a new start here in Austin. He said over a year's time, his savings was gone. The housing, there was not very much affordable housing, so his savings pretty much dwindled, he said, very quickly, and he had not found a steady job to support his needs. And so he said he found himself homeless. And unfortunately, that is what happens with most individuals who are living in poverty or have certain situations happen to them, that they end up finding themselves homeless. Today I will persuade my audience that each of us has the ability to contribute to our local homeless shelter, and we must take action to help alleviate the growing crisis of homelessness. I am credible to speak on behalf of this topic, as I have done in-depth research in regards to how homeless shelters depend on the support and assistance of those in the community. I will include 3 main points that will discuss that homeless shelters help a lot of people and require monetary donations. They also require donations such as clothing, jackets, blankets, shoes, toiletry, socks, and others such as food. And also they depend on volunteers like you and I. Do you remember your parents telling you to save money for a rainy day? If you were to lose your job tomorrow, do you have enough money saved up to support yourself or your family, to make those mortgage payments, to put food on the table? Would you have enough money? What if there was a tragic accident, or perhaps one of your family members was diagnosed with a terminal illness? Would you have enough money saved up for that type of situation? What if there was a natural disaster, or perhaps a fire in your home? Do you have enough savings to deal with that type of situation? As tragic as that sounds, there are many situations like that happen to many people like you and I, and other individuals who are low income, that have those situations happen and end up before long homeless. Other famous people that you may remember who have been homeless and have relied on the assistance of homeless shelters have been Halle Berry, Jim Carrey, Jewel, the singer Ella Fitzgerald, Hilary Swank, Steve Harvey, and Drew Carey, to name a few. Right now, if that situation were to happen to you, where you were to lose your job and you found yourself possibly homeless, we do have homeless shelters available that currently are being supported by the local, state, and federal level, as well as those in the community. Homeless shelters are assisting increased number of individuals, and they rely on monetary donations. The Huffington Post is stated as saying that the Department of Housing and Urban Development conducts an annual one-day count of those that are homeless on the streets or in shelters. And in January of 2013, the head count was 610,042 individuals who were experiencing homelessness on that one night, including 130,515 children. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, 48 million people go hungry every night, and 46.2 million Americans live in poverty. Our family has volunteered at the Southside Community Center in San Marcos, Texas, and the center currently provides 7 warm meals a day, and usually dinner, and they are open from 5 until 7 p.m. It feeds around 50 to 60 individuals, those who are homeless, those who are living in poverty, and may not have a warm meal to put on their table, so they are always welcome to come in. I interviewed Linda Moraga, who is the intaker and caretaker of that facility, and she told me that there are times that they just don't have enough money to be able to provide a meal. And so they really rely heavily on the donations of those in the community, and also rely on other donations such as food, clothing, blankets, etc. for the homeless. Donations are a necessity for homeless shelters all year round. Donations such as blankets, jackets are extremely necessary during the cold winter months, especially during the harsh winter months. On February 17, 2015, the Columbus Dispatch newspaper reported a record high temperature of 8 degrees. That's bitter cold. Imagine living outside and having it be that cold. Previous record was set in 1920 at 12 degrees. Donated jackets and blankets are great, but sometimes that's just not enough. Those people need a place to stay. Herod Pollock, a professor at the University of Chicago and the nation's expert on public health and poverty, states that every quote-unquote individual should contribute to a good organization that works with severely poor people in one's area, end of quote. In addition to contributing to an organization through monetary or other donations, your time is also important. So volunteering is extremely important, and you can make a difference by giving of your time. The University of California of San Diego also has noted how important volunteerism is, and they strongly encourage their students to volunteer for various reasons, which include that it promotes personal growth and experience, it helps the community, it encourages civic responsibility, and it makes one, and they also emphasize the fact that they can make a difference in the lives of others. And in addition, you're also getting to learn more about that individual. Oakland Raiders wide receiver James Jones volunteers at the San Jose homeless shelter in California. And him too was homeless as a young child, and he knows the importance of volunteers. It's a volunteer who made an important difference in his life, and that's why he attributes his success for those volunteers, having had a mentor. So he himself volunteers. Not only does he donate monetarily and provides donations, gifts, etc., but more importantly, he gives of his time, because his hope is that he can make a difference in someone's life. The problems to end homelessness could be solved by advocating for improved policies and programs that are supported at the local, state, and federal level. More funds need to be allocated toward affordable housing and housing vouchers and other programs that help the homeless population and the poor. Share your concerns with public officials and the media and tell them that ending homelessness is important to you. Donating to a local shelter and making monetary donations to advocacy organizations are also important. But make sure that those funds go to a homeless shelter. Also, as we mentioned before, volunteering is very important. You can make a difference in someone's life. Also, have your friends come over, have a group, and have them support your efforts. Organizing fundraising events, whether it's a coat drive, blanket drive, food drive, can also make a difference, and you can help your local service homeless shelters in that manner. Imagine if we all could support organizations like Community First. Alan Graham, the CEO of the Mobile Loaves and Fishes here in Austin, Texas, he helps the homeless population and he feeds them. He had a vision. He wanted to ensure that homeless people had a place to call home. He wanted to make sure that he recognized the fact that if they didn't have a job, didn't have a home to go clean up and prepare for an interview, that the issues of homelessness would not be resolved. So they had the ribbon cutting. He purchased 27 acres of land here in 2015. They did the ribbon cutting. And they have over 100 lots for RVs, 125 microhomes and canvas-sided cottages and platform tents available at a very low cost of under $280. James Jones was fortunate enough to have a mentor at the homeless shelter. And there are other people also who have been impacted by those volunteers. For example, you may have seen the movie The Blind Side or heard the book that was written by Michael Lewis, The Blind Side, Evolution of a Game. A young teenager was also living on the streets, and he was homeless, and it's individuals who came to his assistance and helped him through those difficult times, those at the homeless shelter as well. And he also attributes his success to those volunteers. Imagine if you or I were to find ourselves homeless in the near future, and if we did not petition, or others in the community didn't petition our local, state, and federal government to do more for the homeless population. What would happen to us if we were to end up in the same shoes? We found ourselves homeless. We wouldn't have anything available for us. We want to make those programs available to those individuals because we can't prevent tragedies from happening either. So we want to know that there's something there to support those individuals. Also, not being advocates for the homeless can have long-term negative effects on our economy. In conclusion, I urge you to become part of a movement to end homelessness. Call or write your legislators and congressmen and let them know that you want more funding to go toward affordable housing and programs that assist the homeless and those living in poverty. Your monetary donations are valuable, so are your donations. But your time and talents are of very much importance and invaluable, so I encourage you to volunteer. To find a local shelter near you, and if you want more information regarding to finding a homeless shelter near you, go to the nationalhomeless.org website, or you can also, if you want to help our local shelter, the Southside Community Center in San Marcos, Texas, you can visit their website, which is www.southsidecommunitycenter. Every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, and everyone deserves a place to call home. After 2 years, I'm happy to say that Ralph now has a steady job. He also has a place to call home. Unfortunately, there are many other people who still do not have a home. So I encourage you, help us make a difference. You can be the one who makes a difference. Thank you.